I'd like to call this meeting of Operations Planning Committee for Wednesday, October 12th to order at 9:05 a.m. First item on the agenda is approval of the prior meeting minutes for September 14th and June 8th. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, corrections? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve? Okay, Duke moves, second.
Second.
Seth seconds, all in favor? Okay, dare you say you don't vote, yeah.
Right.
Okay, unanimous. All right, next item on the agenda, I'm going to go through my report briefly. So between October 4th and the 10th of October, there were 9 positive cases of COVID. On October 3rd, the CDC updated its recommendations for vaccines for people 12 years and older. And if you've had the original booster, it's recommended that you get this bivalent, this second updated booster. The health department in town will have flu vaccines starting tomorrow, and we also have additional flu vaccines scheduled for October 18th, 25th, 27th, and November 1st and 8th. And appointments can be made through the health department. On Great Island, we are still in the extended period of the due diligence, and we've uncovered some important items that need to be adequately addressed before the town can take ownership of the property. At the Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday, October 3rd, we included an informational session on flooding, and we had the Chief of Police, we had Don Anderson, we had Jeremy Ginsburg, Land Use, Director of Land Use, we have the Director of Health, David Knopf, Director of Emergency Management, Mark McEwen, Director of Public Works, Ed Gentile, and Professional Engineer Craig Flaherty, all gave presentations. So this presentation was, I think, very well put together. A lot of time and effort was put into it. A lot of our residents suffered, and the town suffered in the storms last year, and I think flooding is a top priority for our office. So if you weren't able to attend the meeting, there is a Vimeo, and Jim Cameron from 79 has put timestamps on the different presenters, so you can, you don't have to sit through the 3-hour meeting. But I think if you watch it, you will see the challenge in Darien, and one of them is that we do get coastal, but we also get river flooding. And river flooding, when there's heavy rainfall, is really important. It channels the water through those watersheds. And if you look at screen 28 on the PowerPoint, you'll see that the town owns a little over 400 acres. And private property in town comprises over 8,200 acres. So along the 5 watersheds. So as you can see, and it was stressed multiple times, that it is something that the town is working on, but it's also something that individuals that live on these water courses need to work on, because what they do on their portion of the water course impacts everybody upstream and downstream. So that's what we're really trying to stress is it's a partnership.
Right, overdevelopment on any of those properties would create more havoc with the flooding.
Exactly.
Well, it's not even the overdevelopment, it's the things that are on your property that end up in the waterway that shouldn't be there. Like if there's a big thing, like say you have logs stacked by the brook, those can end up in the river. Or your tree branches fall in, or people's lawn furniture, sheds have gone in. So it's keeping your portion of the waterway clear. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody should have received information from Aquarian by now about the rate increase. Public comment is being accepted until October 25th. I will be submitting testimony on this. And you can find more information on the town website, and it'll steer you to where you can go on the PIRA website to get more information. So speaking of water, in spite of the recent rainfall, we are still in a moderate drought condition, so surface conditions have helped, but groundwater has not fully recovered. So Aquarian is suggesting that people continue to monitor their water. I attended the Division of Emergency and Management and Homeland Security, DEMIS. Now I see why we have all these acronyms. Field day on September 19th, and first responders from our town and 14 other towns, or 13 other towns, were there to take a look at emergency equipment that's used for mutual aid in our area. I was very impressed with, for one I was able to view the drone that we are looking at for the police department, and get a firsthand kind of read from the Westport Police on how it works. You probably remember that we hired Dewberry to help our residents last year regarding flood applications for FEMA, and WestCog has hired them as a consultant for all 18 towns in WestCog to help. Not only they've identified severe and repetitive and severe repetitive flooding residents that have suffered from that, and they're reaching out to them directly to establish contact, and they're also working with town to identify projects that we can work on submitting applications for grants to for state and federal assistance on that. And sticking with WestCog, CONDOT is in the final stages of the fee negotiation for the quiet zone study that has been in the works for a while. So we're hoping that once that's concluded, the study will begin hopefully this fall, and we will be reaching out to residents that want to participate in that study. I've had some interest from some local people. And last on my list, I want to say happy birthday to Grebes. Was at a little event there yesterday, and they are enjoying their 75th year in business. Was there with Terry, so it's great to see these businesses thrive in Darien. It's wonderful. So as I said earlier, we have people that have to leave. That's why I'm actually talking quickly. But I'm going to go to Jeremy because he has a hard stop here.
Yep.
And then we will go to Jim, and then we will go to Duke.
Covering for Steve, who had a conflict this morning. Thank you. I got 3 things I wanted to bring to your attention. First is Federal Realty. They got a temporary CO for the large building, which is along West Avenue. That will be issued today. They hope to move in residents this weekend, Friday, Saturday, for the apartments they've started leasing. They only expect maybe one of the commercial tenants to move in this year, and then the rest of the commercial tenants will move in likely in the first quarter of 2023. So residents now, maybe one commercial tenant, and then a lot more starting next year. But you see, they got a lot of people out there every day working on sidewalks, landscaping, parking. It's really coming along. I've gotten numerous tours, and they're going to get you the name of the property manager this week or next week. So
Perfect.
We'll have a contact name if we need one.
Perfect.
Second item I wanted to discuss is accessory apartments. The Planning and Zoning has voted to opt out, as is allowed by state statute. That went
on the agenda.
PZ&H met last week and discussed it. I heard that was a unanimous vote at PZ&H, so it was unanimous in Planning and Zoning, unanimous in PZ&H. I will be there Monday night.
PH&S is going. We got a whole
PH&S, do they need me there for their meeting? Let me know if I need to be there.
Okay.
Are they meeting Tuesday
Yeah, I think so.
or Monday? It would be Monday. I guess.
Well, it would have to be Monday.
Okay.
Tuesday would be a little late.
Yep, okay. I will set aside some time on Monday, figure out when and where they're meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll be at the RTM meeting. And then we'll take it from there. If the RTM authorizes it, so be it. If they don't, we'll move in a different direction.
Would surprise me if they didn't.
So, the last item I want to mention is the Land Use Board's roles in reviewing the school applications. Architecture Review Board has established a special meeting next Tuesday, the 18th at 6 p.m. They had a pre-meeting with the architect yesterday that went very well. After that, it's to Planning and Zoning in November. The main issues Planning and Zoning will look at will be drainage and traffic. So the dates have not been set yet. Might be the 15th, could be the 29th.
Jill showed us last night, or the HHR showed us last night, a preliminary schedule of those meetings.
Yeah, so everything seems to be a go so far. So those are the items I wanted to bring to your attention.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay. From the Board of Finance perspective, I would just say that we have a meeting coming up on Tuesday night. Our focus is going to be on setting our calendar for the next year, particularly mapping out the budget calendar for this year. And Duke, so you guys discussed it last night. We'll make sure we have a conversation and sort of sync the calendars up so they can all work together. But we'll be working to begin to develop guidance and projections around what this budget cycle could look like based on capital projects that we know are coming, debt service, and certainly revenue expectations. We also are going to be having a discussion on Tuesday night regarding fire apparatus and begin to look at how we want to identifying the need, the schedule for those replacements, the timing by which when those replacements and the bonding would occur after decisions made, and sort of how those will be funded going forward. As you know, we used to put approximately $500,000 per year into a fire apparatus reserve and then use that as a rolling sort of funding mechanism for the trucks. We stopped doing that a few years ago. And have now looked to bond, particularly some of the larger ones. We're going to look at the equipment that's coming up this replacement cycle, look at what the cost and what the timing will be for that equipment to actually come on. Last year when we reviewed it, as you know, it was like a 18 to sort of 36-month cycle to actually build and deliver these trucks.
36 months would be excessive. A year, maybe 15 months, but
Depending on
it's
the
not going to be 3
Yeah.
years.
But from, I guess, where they first identified
When
the
they first
need,
identify the need,
and go
yeah.
through all the
design work, yeah.
So that's something that we'll be looking at. And then in terms of, I'm not sure if it's going to be on, we're building the agenda right now next week, but I know there's a special appropriation request coming from the Board of Ed on a couple capital and operating expenses. So we'll talk and discuss whether that'll be on Tuesday, on a Tuesday
We
meeting
don't
or
have
the
numbers
following
yet,
meeting.
so it won't be, there are no numbers yet to give you.
We have the number, we firmed the
voted
numbers up
last
last
night.
night.
Oh, I thought you said they were going back to refine them.
Oh, we have the
That's
numbers
it.
on the security capital
Okay.
request, not
Yeah.
on the roof.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
So we'll sync up and just understand the process on that, and whether that comes before us this Tuesday or the following.
When you talk about the fire trucks, would you give consideration to the flow of the process so that the Board of Selectmen rather doesn't have to go back twice? They don't have to say, yes, we approve the concept of purchasing this fire truck, and then come back a couple weeks later to approve the bond authorization. So that the Board of Selectmen doesn't have to touch it multiple times. If
Yeah, I
you
mean,
give
I-
thought to that, give us guidance that anything over a certain dollar amount, you're going to be thinking about bonding, so go ahead and start the authorization process. You could always stop it, but maybe so that the Board of Selectmen could do it in all one.
I think that's going to be part of the discussion tomorrow night, identifying how we want to actually finance them. And if it's going to be bonding, then the sort of approval and bond authorization should all sort of come at the same time, just so it's not circling back.
Yeah, we don't want to step on your toes, but
Yeah.
also if we could move it along faster.
Yeah, no, understood. I think we want to have a holistic discussion about whether it should, historically, these have only come forward really during budget cycles. And the question is whether that is the right time for them to all be sort of rushed into a sort of 2 or 3 month cycle, or whether they should be like other capital requests, like for example, the one that's coming,
Right.
on security, whether those should be considered sort of off cycle.
As needed.
Yeah. So that's it on the Board of Finance.
Thank you. Duke?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Monica. We continue to be in teacher contract negotiations. We have our next meeting this coming Friday at 4. Mr. Palin has been involved in that and very helpful bringing Board of Finance to the table in those conversations. Up at the high school, we are going through the NEASC accreditation process, New England Association of School and Colleges. So they actually had a visit yesterday, and several members of the board participated in that. They have kind of upcoming on-site meetings in the new year, but that's a process that's been delayed because of COVID, but it's an important process to go through from an accreditation standpoint. So that's ongoing. We did have a great presentation. An incredible amount of work's been done by Hinley Homes and Royal Building Committee. So KG&D presented last night, and Ty and Bond was there also. So we saw the schematics of the 3 schools, which is really impressive. As you know, being part of Oxbridge, it's amazing how this comes to fruition from a blank piece of paper to really like looking beautiful as to what we can do to those schools. So we did approve the schematic designs last night to continue the process and move that forward. There's a great presentation that was presented last night that'll be up on the website, or I can pass it along to folks at this table if you want also. We also did move forward and approved a request, Monica, to come to the Board of Selectmen for care, control, and custody of 32 Hoyt Street property, which was acquired next to the school. So they'd like to incorporate that into the overall design.
Egress.
Yeah, egress. We did have some public comment last night from neighbors, which is important, and they'll be part of the process as the building committee has more public hearings and works along with planning and zoning. But based on the schematic, it looked sense. I was part of that. I was part of the board when the town went through the process of purchasing that property. Yep. We looked at the use of the building from a board perspective, deemed it not usable. The town went through the process of demolishing it and just restoring the land. So I think it would be a good use to incorporate the land. So that'll come to the Board of Selectmen.
On that, Duke, that's 16 parking spots and drainage, right?
It's drainage. It incorporates part of the path that needs to be put around these buildings for emergency vehicles. And it includes parking and drainage, and the parking would be predominantly for teachers and staff. That's the concept right now. Okay. Yep. And if you look at it, it's from a drainage perspective, you don't realize it when you're up there, but there's quite a stretch of wooded property that belongs to the school already. And so it seems like we would, like Oxbridge, I think the overall, it would be an improvement to the drainage up there right now.
So what were it's boxed in by the, by school, so what were the neighbor comments?
The neighbors' concerns were just more traffic and where the parking was, and lighting and noise.
Lighting,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, you know, we've tackled those up at Oxbridge too, and we continue to kind of adjust the lights up there based on feedback from the neighbors.
Great.
Yeah. Good.
And is the thinking that in connection with handing that over to the Board of Ed, that would also be, I heard some discussion in terms of the development of that, either for construction or long-term permanent parking, would that be handed over to HHR?
That's the goal.
Well, yeah, if we
Yeah.
hand over the control of that piece of property to the Board of Ed, then the HHR can use it.
Yes.
But I mean,
And it's the only thing that piece is good for.
Yeah.
But what I mean, would the scope of HHR be expanded to include sort of development of that?
They already have it in there.
The development of that parking?
We just need the care, control, and custody of it for them to continue to move it forward.
Okay.
Yeah, they've already incorporated it into the schematic.
Yeah.
But it's just the process of us. We never formally, since we agreed.
The town bought it.
Yeah.
But it's never been part of the school
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And by incorporating it, you eliminate all these zoning setbacks and things.
Yeah, no, my question, I guess, was just if the scope of the building committee, needed to be expanded to also
No.
include the
No.
development of that
No.
property.
Good question, but no. Also at Hinley, it was brought up last night, and I know they'll be working, with your office, Jeremy, but Hinley is, the proposal is to add a curb cut there, and Ty and Bond was there. They've had preliminary discussions with the state. Those discussions have been positive. It would really improve the flow of traffic up there, and also addition of a crosswalk. So those conversations have started, and that's been productive.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, and just increasing the bus loop up there. I think like anything we can do around traffic and bus queuing is just helpful to the neighborhoods too. So I think the plan up there would really ease kind of those challenges. We did move forward last night, the supplemental request for additional security, which are the door sensors. So Jim, I think that's $327,000. So that request came through. And then we did approve moving forward with the new security protocols around adding the SSOs to the elementary schools. So that proposal is to add 6 SSOs. And so we moved forward that proposal. It was unanimously approved. The only change to the request was for a full appropriation, and we cut it back to an appropriation for just the 6 months starting in January, and then Rich will bill them into the budget as we go through the budget process. And then we did do an initial look at our budget calendar. We decided that we will send our budget calendar out to you, the Board of Finance, and to RTM Education and F&B. Just, we always seem to bump up against some tight timelines in terms of people getting the budget and having the right amount of time to review it, so we want to kind of streamline that a little bit. And the RTM Education and F&B have been great in terms of consolidating questions and the superintendent's time at attending meetings, so we'll continue to look at how we make that an efficient process.
Can you send it to us as well so that we make sure that we don't schedule anything, you know, important on the same nights that you have important stuff happening?
Perfect. Yeah, good.
Great
We went
idea.
over
Or
our
maybe we want to,
over our calendar for next year, and so I think we're good. And we also, at a previous meeting, approved the new Director of Health for the school system, so that's in process too.
Is that a new hire, a new
Yes.
position?
Yes.
The Director of Health? for
Mental.
public school?
Director of Mental Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do the SSOs, do they report to the police, the chief of police? Or
No, they do not. They do not. Great question, and we went through this whole process of reporting. They are school employees, the SSOs, and they will roll up to the Director of Security, which is a new role.
Mhm.
The school monitors stay in place. They're really the folks that greet and give the local school their feel. You know, they're the folks at the door. So they'll all start to fall under the Director of Security role.
But the greeters at the front door are different from the SROs.
Right, the monitors are at the front doors, they will stay, and now we're adding an SSO to each school building, and a floating SSO, which will help with various after-school activities, and will help with coverage also with the SROs at the high school or Middlesex if they're on vacation or have a day off.
Are they trained by Darien? I mean,
Yes.
are they?
They're going to be, they have to
police
be retired police officers, so the chief of police will be helping us in the hiring and the training, and they will be outfitted exactly how a Darien cop is outfitted in terms of equipment.
But I think with the SSO, one of the differences are in terms of, you know, from a cost perspective, because they're a retired police officer, we don't have to, and they're covered underneath existing pensions.
Right.
We don't need to pay sort of health care benefits associated with them. I don't think we need to pay certain taxes and/or contribute to a pension because they're already part of one.
I think the initial funding request will be $296,000, which includes salary costs and equipment costs.
So
But that
thank you.
starts January to June, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes,
Duke,
Mark.
have you officially made a decision on the director for the officers?
No, in terms of hiring,
Right.
No.
But you've
Yeah.
approved that?
we've approved it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then can you just confirm that the SSOs do not wear uniforms in the school?
They will wear uniforms.
They will
in the
wear
school.
uniforms?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But will they be
They would.
distinct from the police department?
Yeah, yes, yes.
So they won't be in a polo shirt, they'll be in an actual police uniform?
That's my understanding.
I thought
Yeah.
Don said they would be effectively dressed almost the same as the SRO, but with he mentioned like a different shade of.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what.
I'll confirm that.
Yeah, I would guess that
Yeah.
you'll be able to tell that they're not a police officer.
Right, right.
But
Yeah.
you'll be able
Isn't
to
that-
tell that they're security.
Right, but isn't that the point, to look like a security slash
Well, you'll
police?
still, yeah, you'll
But
see all
maybe
the,
they'll be wearing gray instead of blue?
yeah, I think it's more of a
Okay.
different color or style shirt, but you'll still see all the equipment, so you'll
Right,
know
the
their,
equipment's
you'll
on
know
this
their
capable.
security.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The SROs don't wear a full on duty
More of
officer.
a, I mean, you know they're a police
Yeah.
officer, but yeah, it's a good point, I'll clarify that. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Duke?
So these positions are going to have limited benefits?
I think it depends on they're going to be retired police officers, so I think for the most part, they're covered under their existing health care and pension type costs. So, but I think we have to see as we go through the process, who actually comes to the table in terms of the hiring. But Don seems to think the chief seems to think they'll be able to find, retired police even.
Oh, yeah, I'm just
Local.
curious, how that's going to work.
Yeah, I thought like.
They're not union employees also. That was confirmed last night.
By,
Rich Rudel and Marge Sion, head of HR. They're not in any particular union.
But they could be.
employees that,
There'll be an exempt employee, right?
exempt employee, yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
So do-
But I think the director of security, I think the idea is that, I think if I heard the discussion correctly, that would be part of the administrators union?
That I don't know.
Okay.
And does that director have to be a retired officer?
No.
Okay.
No.
And that's a state requirement that the SSOs have to be
Retired
certified?
police, correct. Monica.
No, that was a question.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Any other questions for Duke? No? Okay. Seth?
Well, we're coming to the end of our year for the representative town meeting. You have the elections in November, and then and half of the RTM is up for re-election or new people coming in. And then we go through a series of steps to organize the representative town meeting. On the 14th, you have the annual meeting when all the new people are sworn in, and also when all the districts split up and elect their presidents, their chairs and vice chairs, organize the districts. And also they vote who's on the Rules Committee, because the following week the Rules Committee meets on November 21st, and there we do all the committee assignments. So you have on the 21st the organization of the RTM into committees, and then also at that we also set the state of the town agenda, and that to me would be the time to set this thing from the Board of Education on security in the schools. And then because the following week, the 28th of November, all the committees meet. So they can meet, discuss this item that will be on the state of the town, and be prepared to report. So the state of the town is December 5th, at which time the heads of the departments, the various boards talk about the state of the town, and also we will add in the Board of Education security item.
So that
And
was.
probably the HHR. The HHR appropriation and the care, custody, and control of that one piece of property.
Okay.
Yeah, the one thing that we'll just have to think about, and just to make it clear on everyone's view, as the design went through HHR, we had several roof projects, and we also had a solar project. So as the work was done on those schools, it's come out based on where HVAC equipment needs to be placed. It makes no sense for us to do those roof renovations, and it makes more sense to incorporate them into the renovations of the buildings. So we've worked with the solar firm that we're working with, and they've agreed to work with us on the delay of installation, and it's actually played out because they're having supply chain issues with getting what they need in terms of solar panels and stuff like that. So that's that about $3.5 million that will be added to the scope of the project.
Okay. Other things, just an appropriation here coming up on Monday. RTM meets to approve the repairs to the Hanson Road Bridge, and also to approve the accessory apartments item. That requires a 2/3 vote of those in attendance and voting. Does not require, thank you, we did have to call the state to get that straightened out. It does not require 2/3 of the membership. So that's what's, just a few things. We wouldn't want to have a quiet finish, right? Just go for the big ones. Great. Thank you. Questions?
Guys, I need to excuse myself. Apologies. Okay, thanks, Seth.
Terry?
Very briefly, because I know we're on a time frame here. New laws took effect October 1st. There are 3 times a year new state laws take effect, January 1st, October 1st, and July 1st. And there were a new batch that took place on July 1st, October 1st, and I will send them to Marley for posting on the website on all kinds of issues. Domestic violence, juvenile justice, mental health are some of the highlights. And And there will be details on that. The next time we review the budget and build consensus revenue numbers will be the end of November. So we will know where we are on the state with our budget situation.
Okay, thanks.
That's it.
Is this your last meeting with
No.
us? Okay.
One more to harass you all.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, thoughts? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn? Duke moves.
Second.
Seth seconds. Thank you, everyone.